So in my last video, we talked about understanding the map, breaking down and figuring out holes in the defender's setup, and how you can gain a better game sense and map knowledge when you're on attack. In that video, I mentioned that a lot of players, when they're on defense, just follow the same setups and strats over and over again without realizing what those strats are actually designed to accomplish. Like, what is the point of stacking Jaeger ADSs and deployable shields in Blue Bunker on Oregon, or playing Owamai and Agoyo inside of Bakery on Cafe? What's the idea behind these strategies on defense, and what do they actually mean to achieve? Why do we do them? Now, if you've ever struggled on defense or caught yourself wondering how you can get a better map knowledge for your defenses and how you can understand these strategies that you see pros and content creators using, stick around. Hello internet, my name is Nebulous, let's dive into it.
Dip, potato chip, dip, potato chip.
Just before we get into today's video, if you enjoy the content I create here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell to never miss an upload. And if you think your friends would enjoy my content or maybe learn a thing or two as well, make sure to share my videos with them, as it would be greatly appreciated. Now, onto the video. So the point I brought up earlier about just following these basic defense setups, these reinforcements, because you've seen other people, content creators and pros using them, and they seem to work, but for the most part, people don't know why they're actually doing them, which is made pretty obvious when they'll do all these reinforcements and set up all their utility, but then will be playing around completely different positions on the map, because 85% of people that play Siege seem to think that the best defense strategy is to sit in a rat corner doing their best All-American Rejects impression. Whereas, if those same people actually played around their utility and around the key areas of the map so that they could be supported by their teammates, I wouldn't get so salty when I solo queue on stream. Which, by the way, I stream over on Twitch, links are in the description. But more than saving my own sanity, if you can understand how to set up the map and the bomb site, and why defending these key positions on the map can give more value to your team than the rat corners halfway across the map, not only will you be able to roam a lot more effectively, but you'll start to understand how to counter the attacker's strats. You'll start to recognize the mistakes that you and your enemies make, allowing you to win more rounds and more games. Now, the idea of key locations or key positions within a map is something that I've mentioned a couple times now. So what exactly am I talking about? It's a relatively simple concept, and one that you're going to think, duh, obviously. But until it's pointed out explicitly, you just play around these positions without realizing why. And that's the whole point of this video. So there's one key position that every map in the game shares, that being staircases and drop-down hatches. If you've watched my attacking guide, you'll know that I said the first job of the attackers in any round is to take control over the staircases and the points of rotation on the map, because staircases allow a defender the most freedom to roam throughout the map, and on some maps are direct routes into the bomb site. Take a look at a map like Consulate, for example. Every defense strategy tends to revolve around maintaining control over the yellow stairs, even the Archives Teller's site that's on the opposite side of the map. Regularly in competitive play, you'll see teams start attacking Archives Tellers by taking over control of the yellow stairs. This same theory applies for every map in the game though. Villa, for example, any decent strat to defend Aviator in games or Trophy in Statuary, relies on the defenders controlling either the study or the red stairs. Same with Cafe. White stairs is an incredibly strong position to control for 3 of the 4 bomb sites on the map. This is why so many strategies on various maps revolve around a staircase, and why when you're on defense you should ideally focus on playing around and on these staircases so that you can rotate more freely around the map to wherever your teammates might need help, and so that you don't get pinched out and caught while you're alone halfway across the map by the attackers. Now, within Siege, it's no secret that vertical play is an extremely strong tactic for the attackers in order to take control over the bomb site. This is the reason why you see a lot of defense strats that dedicate some form of utility and resources in order to hold the floor above the bomb site, if the floor above is destructible. This is where we come to our second foobar that a lot of players make, especially in the mid to high plat ranks. I'm sure you've all at some point set up your defenses in order to hold the bomb site vertically. One of the most popular maps you see this on in Ranked is Cafe. To hold either of the second floor bomb sites is a pretty smart idea to reinforce off the freezer to cocktail walls and the cocktail to bar walls, and to place a couple ADS devices around lumber and inside cocktail and on the white stairs, so that you can safely play around white stairs and inside of cocktail. The general idea behind setups like these are typically so that if you're defending a bomb site where the ceiling is fully destructible, like on the second floor bomb sites of Cafe, then part of your defense should be focused around denying the attackers the ability to perform that vertical destruction down onto the bomb site. On Cafe, this this would mean denying the attackers access into the bar and freezer area on the 3rd floor, so that they can't open up the floor above either of the bomb sites, depending which one you're defending. Hence why we dedicate utility and reinforcements into cocktail and around the white stairs. Now, you may think, well, if we're trying to deny them bar and freezer area, why wouldn't we just hold the top floor like we do for a bar and cocktail defense, by playing inside the freezer and the bathroom with some rotations? Well, it's for the same reason as for the first part of this video. If you were to extend your setup out into the bar and the freezer, it becomes far easier for the attackers to cut off your rotations back to the white stairs and down onto the bomb site. Essentially, by spreading out your defense setup, you'd be making the attacker's job of clearing out your defense of the top floor a lot easier, while not actually gaining much as a defender. As long as your team controls the white stairs and the lumber or tarps area, whatever you want to call it, the attackers can't push up the white hallway or into freezer as easily. And if you have control over the cocktail, then the attackers can't push into bar either. This is where the big mistakes come in though. Players will set up their defenses to hold vertically above the bomb site, but will then opt to play far away from their setup like I mentioned before, in order to meet the attackers as they enter into the building. Now, this isn't a bad idea. The opposite, in fact. Playing aggressive early in the round is a good idea, so that you can shoot a few drones, gain some info on the attackers, and then fall back to your setup defense. Except we're not playing competitive, are we? We're solo queuing ranked and playing against aggressively uncoordinated attackers that just face check every room, just not going to work as well as playing more passively around your setup will. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good a defense setup you've got, if you're playing in a 4v5 because you or someone else in your team died early, then you're going to struggle with the man disadvantage. So, moral of the story, if you've got your setup defenses to hold a particular area, play around that area and don't be over aggressive when you don't need to be. This is a good time to mention when to know if you should be playing passively or when you should be playing aggressively. As I mentioned before about playing overly aggressive early and straying far away from your setup, like everything in Siege, that isn't a one-size-fits-all piece of advice. As long as you're keeping in mind to stay close by your setup utility or a point of rotation like a drop down or a staircase, then roam away. Bad roaming only becomes an issue when you play overly aggressive and overstay too long in one position. Like if we revisit our earlier cafe example, if you set up your defense to hold cocktail and white stairs, you shouldn't be playing inside of piano and cigar for more than 45 seconds to a minute absolute maximum, because any more time than that, then any good attacker will either be on the skylight covering any rotations through bar, or on the piano and white hallway windows denying any rotations down the white hallway towards white stairs. Basically, as long as you keep in mind the main points I've mentioned from this video to play around these points of rotation, whether it's a staircase or a drop down, and you don't play overly aggressive when you don't need to be, you can play however you want. Just bear in mind that generally jumping out of windows and swinging every angle you can is not an ideal way to play your defense rounds. Anyway, that about wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed and learnt a thing or two. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, and if you didn't, then dislike. Feel free to subscribe, ring that notification bell, and share the videos with your friends if you think they'd enjoy it. If you do enjoy my content over here on YouTube, you can check me out live over on Twitch. I stream a few days a week as I work and study at university, so make sure to join our community Discord so that you can hang out with our community, chat with me, chat with our community guys, and catch me whenever I go live on Twitch. Of course, all the links are as always in the description down below, and as always, happy gaming.